Hey y'all, we're back down here at the Chiefs Pit. Timmy Petty, Mark Petty, Richie Petty. Been looking at the Twitter this week, and a lot of rumblings and stuff about the Petty Junkyard going on. So we thought we might just give you some insights, just a little bit. We ain't gonna give it to you all, but just we'll give you some little stories, and maybe a little bit later on we'll give you some more. But we'll start off with growing up down here in the Junkyard. That was kind of where we hung out, wasn't it, Tim?
Yes, sir. And I'm going to go back before we rebuttal or answer some of these questions we may or may not get. But we always, when the junkyard was out in front or beside the engine shop,
right?
The cars that Lee had went over the wall and Richard and all that stuff. But we used to take the used 6-foot fluorescent light bulbs and chunk them into the cars because they would explode.
Yeah.
So it was like a war zone.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I say we grew up in the junkyard. That's our playground. Was in the warehouses.
Well, and then it actually grew as we was growing up, and it come on back here to kind of where we're at now.
Well, the reason why we was out in the junkyard,
getting on everybody's nerves.
well, it's because number one, Mom would say, "Go out and play." You know, our generation, you didn't
stay inside.
You didn't stay inside, and Daddy would tell you can't come in the shop.
Right.
Like these guys are working.
Can't be monkeying with them.
Yeah, and so we ended up out here in the junkyard,
but we were constantly digging through the artifacts, and we didn't know they were artifacts.
It was just cool
we were
stuff.
just getting them and putting them away, and some of the stuff we still use today come out of the junkyard.
Oh, yeah, we just don't have anything. But, well, it'd crash a car, and like you said, when originally it'd go out beside the engine shop, but in the 70s when they built all these buildings in the back, that increased the landfill more or less. The cars kept coming back and getting pushed back further and further.
Well, everybody does it, even if it's at your own
Right,
home.
that's right.
You got a lawnmower that breaks down or whatnot. You go put it on the edge of the woods or the edge of your property line.
Except we had race cars and different parts.
It kept moving, getting bigger.
Yeah.
And some of it got hauled off here and there.
Eventually
we'll
they had
touch on that here in a minute.
Eventually they had a like a dumpster, and that's where they'd burn boxes and paper and stuff in.
You can tell this one.
Well, they had old paint cans and stuff, and we was smart alecks, so we'd sit down here and chunk
brake clean and spray
any kind of can would go in there and made
a
nice little fireball and all. But
they would wait till it got lit up. And the story is that one of them went above or over the building after it blew up and landed just a few feet from Grandfather.
It was like
the story ain't. I remember he come down there with a golf club about ready to beat us with it.
It was like 500 yards from where we blew it up at. It went flying.
It was definitely some ordnance.
But that was probably some of our fun was in there. But okay, some of the stories on Twitter this week was Lee's car that went over the wall. And there's a couple of little Oldsmobiles that got took out of here. I believe it was 1989, 88.
Right there at it, right in that neighborhood.
And it was Billy Bisco. He ended up with those cars. And what happened was he made a deal with Grandfather Petty because Billy was big into restoring Model Ts. He had a Model T truck.
And Billy was helping us with our Caraway car at the time. Our first Caraway car come from him.
And Grandfather had that Model T, and it wasn't running, and Billy told him he could get it running. Remember?
Yep.
So we set up there in our shop, and Billy worked on it, and we helped whatever we could.
Whatever Billy told us to do.
Right. And he put in some different things and got it running. Anyway, when it was finished, Grandfather was like, okay, well, that's great, and I love it, and he let us all drive it, and we had a big time. But he's like,
because driving the Model
T. Oh, yeah, it's like driving a different kind of tractor. And he was like, well, what do I owe you, Billy? And Billy says, you don't owe me nothing, but I'd like to have those cars out back. And Grandfather kind of laughed like, yeah, they're yours. Because he thought he got one over on him.
Yeah, if you haul it off.
Billy was happy, and he showed up.
Them cars have been laying out here for years.
Oh, yeah. But Billy showed up, and he took them out of here. And I think Daddy and the Grandfather, they was okay with it. And I think Richard, he kind of questioned, like, ooh, what are you doing? And Grandfather said, I made a deal with Billy. And we're good. And it's like, okay. So they got out of here, and everybody was happy with that deal. Billy Bisco.
Maybe sometime Billy will get down here and get on the show with us.
Tell the story.
And tell his, there's three sides to every story, and we'll hear his side.
But he,
for sure.
But he made the deal with Grandfather to get his Model T running, and everybody was happy on both sides. Grandfather was glad, and he was glad. So that's the story behind the wrecked Daytona car from 1961.
And there was also some of the 63-ish, 4-ish Plymouths that laid out there forever.
But he got
I don't know what happened.
I'm pretty sure he got an Oldsmobile, and he got that Lee's Plymouth from 61.
Plymouths.
Yeah, he got that.
I think, and one of them, if I'm not mistaken, like there's a museum up there in Mooresville, the Bean.
Yeah.
The Memory Lane or something.
Yeah, that's.
I think part of it, or
it's still there.
Maybe I've only went there one time, and I'm pretty sure one of them was there. I don't know which one it
was.
was.
The Plymouths, there's still Plymouths buried at places down here because this quarter here, this come out, we dug it out.
The car that grandfather went over Daytona's at that.
Yes, that's what he said.
Right?
Billy's wanting to drug it out of here.
No, I know it is.
Yeah. He's got no loan.
We'll get Billy to come in and tell us all about that.
Yeah, he'll know more about it.
But
that's the deal behind it.
Yeah,
that's
and so the Plymouths and all, there's still Plymouths back here buried, and we keep getting some pieces up and going.
Also, in the 50s, probably on up in the 60s, when they did run a lot of dirt tracks, they had what they called a shaker screen that was just basically bolted ahead of it, which is right behind Mark's head here.
This was on the 1960 World 600.
And it was dug out of there. That was one of the things we dug out and
we
played with it.
We was out playing in the junkyard one day, and we drug them up, and Daddy said, "Where'd y'all find that?" And we said, "Down in the woods." And he said, "Well, you know what that is?" And we was like, "No."
We don't have a clue.
And it was when the track was coming up at Charlotte, the first race, right?
Right. Well, they run them in other places too, but
okay.
But these come off the World 600 car because we got pictures.
It's made with chicken wire.
Yeah, but we got
some kind of metal.
But there's another piece in there. We got two pieces, and I think they come off of Grandfather Petty's car.
Yep.
But they run 3 cars that race because they run Bobby Johns, Lee Petty, and Richard Petty, and all 3 of them had them on there. And
as we matches up. We dug stuff out over the years and different components and all the handmade stuff. It was done here, modified stock parts, components. But that's the interesting part that I've took out of some of the stuff we've dug out over the years.
Well, and interesting to me is as the years go by. Rain, erosion.
Yeah, you still find.
I guess, and different things will surface.
Oh yeah.
And I guess when Daddy died, this property, we inherited it, and so we own the Petty Junkyard. So that's one piece we own. Yeah. So we got it. So that's But
one
anyway,
man's junk's another man's treasure.
When we were down here in '91, and we were getting our shop up and going, and we was putting in a new parking lot, and some things surfaced up and pushed back. But there's a lot of stuff going on Twitter about the drag car and how it came up and all. Well, that kind of surfaced when we was putting in our parking lot, and Daddy called his good buddy Billy West and told
Billy West
told him, look, I don't want nothing to do with that car. There's some bad memories with it. Get it out of here. So Billy come down here with his truck and little trailer, took it out of here, and that's all we wanted to know about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what's really.
I really don't know anything.
From there, you have to
go with them.
Family. Yep.
This here was the parachute puller that come out of that car. That's the only piece we saved out of it.
Yep.
And
didn't even know what it was.
But Daddy did. We brought it in here, and he was like, "That's the parachute." So
they always got us on that.
Oh, yeah.
Say, you don't even know what that is, do you? Because remember the Lee with the thing that was in his leg at time.
Well, they just put you back in your place.
That's right. So anyway, we saved that from that car, and that car went to Billy West, and like I said, Daddy said, "Get it out of here. Don't want to know nothing about it." And as far as we know, it's still down there with Billy's people, and that's all we know about it, and that's all we want to know about it. But,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, and from there it's Lord, what great memories again.
Oh yeah.
We didn't realize what kind of toys we had playing with all that stuff.
Now there's another.
It was the biggest history of racing.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'm used to
it. Over the years, people's always asked me, and I think part of it's true, part of it's lure. You know what I mean? But that Chrysler Corporation asked them to bury some of the research and development Hemi stuff, and supposedly there's tons of stuff buried right out here, and nobody would ever tell us. But they didn't deny it, and they didn't really say that it was there. But there's other people that swears that there's boxes full of brand new Hemi stuff right here on these premises, right where we stand.
Well,
And I believe it.
Urban legends.
Urban legends.
You don't believe it?
No, I don't.
I do not know.
I know
believe
there's
it.
no.
I
There,
do not know.
There's
So we're gonna
pieces.
have an argument about
There's
it.
pieces out there, and it comes up, and if we got out there with some backhoes, we would find some stuff. But I don't think you'll find boxes of stuff. I just don't believe
I'm
that.
just saying that's the word on the street.
Well, the word on the street too is there's still a Superbird sitting back here, and I ain't gonna confirm or deny it.
Can we find it?
We don't know. We'll have to look one day. That's why I
Well,
said
there's definitely more stuff
oh,
out
there's a
there.
lot more stuff.
It
out
might
there.
be like the Geraldo Rivera opening up
That's
Capone's
safe.
vault.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever find that? Was it there?
Yeah.
It was nothing, was it?
I do not know.
Well,
Not there.
that's just a little insight to the junkyard, and we can get into some bigger stories as time goes on. But we wanted to set the record straight on grandfather's Daytona wreck that went to Billy Biscoe, and that was all a good deal from the whole family. And Billy West ended up with the drag car, and that was a good deal for the whole family. And that's all we're going to let out today. So tune in and like and subscribe and leave us some comments.
Thank y'all.